So welcome to the OLLI lecture series. Today we are going to be talking about elder financial abuse. And we have John Schwartz, who is here to give us a lecture. John Schwartz is the founder of the Center for Combating Elder Financial Abuse, but he's also a retired FBI agent. So I expect this to be quite the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, John.
Hey, thank you very much, Liz. I really appreciate it. Hello, everybody. Glad everybody can join. And let me go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we'll dive right into this. All right. I trust everybody can see it okay?
Good.
All right, fantastic. So we are the Center for Combating Elder Financial Abuse. My name is John Schwartz, the founder and president of our nonprofit. I first want to say that I really appreciate that we're doing this today. A similar program was done at LSU just earlier this year. So I'm glad that OLLI's bringing attention to elder financial abuse. That's fantastic.
So John, let me just ask one question. Do you want questions at the end or throughout?
I would say at the end, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So for those of you, if you have questions as we're going, just put it in the chat and we'll address it later. Okay.
Hey, fantastic. So, hey, lesson 1, this is introduction on predators who conduct elder financial abuse. And what I say is, for some individuals, this may be the very first training class you've ever received on elder financial abuse, because there's just not that much training out there. And I think it's essential, especially for our nation's 56 million elders. So, hey, really easy class today. We only have one primary goal today, and that's all I want to do is give you an introduction on what elder financial abuse really looks like in the United States today, and then how to spot elder financial abuse and what to do if you do spot it. So here's our training agenda. This is what we're going to do. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 cases, and that's going to set the tone for the presentation. After that, I'll give you some little bit of background on myself as well as the center, then our mission and goals. But then we're going to get into the meat of this, predator fundamental principles, what any predator does in order to be successful. And that's how we at the center look at this crime. And then once we learn these 2 principles, we'll apply them to 3 more convicted financial predators. So in this training, you'll see videos from both victims and convicted predators. So I'm really not teaching the course. The majority of the learning is going to come from what the victims say, as well as the convicted predators, because we at the center look at this crime through the eyes of the predator. Also in this training, we're going to go beyond a list of red flags. Here's a list of red flags from the Department of Justice. And anybody can Google this up at any time. This is very important. We got to understand what the red flags are. But I want to show this crime through the eyes of the predator. Well, let's jump right into the cases. Our first case is going to be Roger Dale Williams. He's a church pastor as well as a convicted predator. I'm going to show you this video. I'll ask everybody to try to maximize their volume at this point, because this one video, for whatever reason on YouTube, doesn't come out very loud. So you may have a little bit of trouble. So we'll see. But this is a very good video. Let's take a look.
One of the forms of abuse among aging adults is financial exploitation. Tonight at 5, we continue our series of stories breaking the silence, elder abuse awareness.
Financial exploitation is costing older Americans more than $35 billion each and every year, according to the Adult Protective Services Association. Well, WATE 6 on Your Side reporter Don Dare examines why some people fall victim to this crime.
The financial exploitation of older adults is often called the crime of the 21st century. In a national study, nearly 20% of those 65 and older indicated some form of financial mistreatment or criminal fraud. Sometimes, however, criminals are caught. Nearly 100 people once trusted Roger Williams with their savings. He's now a federal prisoner for breaking their trust.
I can't say.
Jimmy Vineyard had invested with Williams. Filled with emotion, he could hardly speak when we talked in July 2014.
Beautiful woman.
He and his wife, Ellen, she died in 2011, thought they had invested wisely after putting their money in investments operated solely by Williams. Showing us deposit slips, Mr. Vineyard had invested over $500,000 with Williams. But when he needed cash to pay for Ellen's care, Williams told him the money was gone.
Got all my life savings. Yes.
You can see it in his face, the rage building against Williams. Because Roger Williams was a preacher, investors trusted him with nearly $2 million. At his church in Gatlinburg, we asked him about his investors' savings.
Their money's gone, yeah.
Some 90 investors? How about the other investors?
Yeah, their money, yeah, that was all of our investment over the past 7 years.
I think it's illegal what he done. Very illegal.
Gerald and Judy Perkins, both retirees, lost their house to Roger Williams' Ponzi scheme. For several years, they received monthly checks from Williams, drawn on their investment, which paid the mortgage on their home. But the couple received devastating news in the summer of 2014. Williams sent a letter that he's going out of business, that all distributions will cease immediately.
It's our money. My husband worked for that, and it was his retirement.
We have no comments, Mr. Dare.
After an exhaustive investigation, Williams pleaded guilty last fall to mail fraud, money laundering, and obstruction of IRS laws. The government said he ran a Ponzi scheme, spending most of the money on himself.
But that's it. That's our first case, right? A church pastor is a convicted predator who conducted a Ponzi scheme against the elderly. This is what elder financial abuse looks like in the United States today. Here's the press release from Department of Justice on Roger Dale Williams. And I'll point your attention to the very last sentence or very last paragraph, where it explains that he was a pastor at a church at Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So again, this is what elder financial abuse looks like. This is how we look at it through the eyes of the predator. So our second case, April Parks, fraudulent guardianship. This is a very tough case. This is the before and after picture of her before she was convicted and then after. And she was sentenced in January of 2019. Before I start this video, what I'm going to say is you're going to hear early on in this video that it can happen in a blink of an eye. Now, that's one of the major points that we teach at the center, and that's why we have our training, because these predators can hit you before you realize it, and they can gain control of you. Let's take a look at this video.
The story you're about to see will make you sad. It will make you feel scared and helpless, and it could happen to anyone. It is a family tragedy where an elderly couple is yanked from their home. Their daughter is left in the dark, and the person put in charge by Clark County admits to serious mistakes uncovered by Contact 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears.
It can happen in the blink of an eye.
I could not be less happy.
Life as you know it changed forever.
Did you feel like you and your wife were kidnapped out of your own home?
We were kidnapped and raped. Both.
Maybe not literally, but Rudy and Rennie North feel like they were violated, stripped of the life they were living together for 60 years. He cared for her through cancer and claims they were doing just fine until a knock on their door in the fall of 2013.
So I opened the door, and they said that they were officers of the court.
Rudy says the officers gave the couple 3 options. 1,
we call the police. 2, we have you go to a psychiatric ward.
Choice 3, an assisted living facility. The people who came for Rudy and Rennie were private professional guardian April Parks and a member of her staff.
Mr. and Mrs. North were not in a good situation when we initially got the guardianship. There were lots of concerns about what was going on with them health-wise.
Parks says a hospice company referred the couple to her out of concern that they could no longer care for themselves.
Were they allowed to given the choice to stay in their home?
At that time, they were not.
And they've never been allowed to go back home. Park says threats of police and jail never came up, but
Psychiatric ward probably came up.
frightened and worried about being separated, the couple went with Parks to Lakeview Terrace Senior Home. Their only daughter, Julie, had no idea they'd been taken.
Who believes they're going to get taken out of their home?
Julie eventually tracked them down. She took this video in January 2014.
Oh, I felt like I was being arrested. I was kidnapped out of my house. I wasn't even fully dressed.
Court records show Rudy and Rennie were deemed incompetent by a pain management specialist and a physician's assistant. April Parks used those evaluations to gain temporary guardianship, which the court has since made permanent.
In the court record, Parks also calls their only daughter, Julie, a reported drug addict who has no contact with her parents. Both say that's a lie, and there's no evidence to back it up.
They defame your family. They do that in case after case after case.
In the North's case, we discovered mistakes, overbilling, and double dipping.
Should it take Contact 13 to be the one that's finding this stuff and asking these questions?
No, ma'am, it shouldn't.
That's scary when you're in charge of someone else's life and money.
Yes, I'm not happy.
This shouldn't be happening.
I agree with you.
Shockingly, Parks sold a bunch of Rudy and Rennie's belongings through an estate sale company who made $4,150, but she only got $923, which went into the North's account. Court records show Parks said it wasn't worth the legal effort to pursue the other $3,200.
But why would that ever be the determination?
I'm
this
not-
is someone else's money.
You're right.
She says they're going to pursue it now. Contact 13 also uncovered double dipping. Rudy and Rennie were charged $780 each for court filings and travel time to court on the same days in 2013.
That's over $1,500.
You're absolutely
to
right.
this couple.
You're absolutely right.
Who you're
And
saying doesn't
we-
have enough money already.
We will happily reverse those charges out.
How about $108 Parks charged Rennie to buy her a pair of stretch pants?
Does $108 for stretch pants seem
No, it
reasonable?
doesn't. And I'm happy to reverse that.
So far, Parks and her lawyer have charged the couple more than $25,000 in fees, plus almost $50,000 has been spent for the couple's room and board and medical expenses. Parks says this is the first time she's hearing Rudy and Rennie are unhappy and want out.
The story you're
We're almost at the end of that video. But again, that's what elder financial abuse really looks like. This is a horrible case. I'll also say that Netflix also recently did a movie that's based on fraudulent guardianship. And that movie's name is I Care a Lot. So if you get a chance, take a look at the movie. I'll say that the first 26 minutes does an excellent job of showing how the fraudulent guardian actively targeted the victim and then was able to quickly gain control. But this was a very upsetting case. All right, so I've set the tone with those two videos. So let's go quickly through my background. I'm a retired FBI agent with 24 years experience. Prior to that, I joined the Army and was active duty Army officer for 9 years. Prior to that, I went to West Point a very long time ago. And I've been researching our nation's effort to combat elder financial abuse since 2012. So it's been over a decade. And finally, our center, it's a veteran-operated 501c3 nonprofit organization. So our mission and goals. Our mission is simply lead the way in protecting the elderly and their families from predators who commit elder financial abuse. That's what we do. So how do we do it? Our goals is increase awareness on the scale and scope of the threat posed by financial predators. I think that's probably one of the most important things our center can do is help our nation's 56 million elders understand exactly the scale and scope that these predators pose. Because I think after this presentation, you'll find that it's a little bit larger than what you may have previously understood. And then finally, this note at the very bottom. Currently, there's 56 million elders in the United States, but that's going to quickly jump to 70 million by 2030. That's a huge increase, and we got to be ready. All right, so let's get into the meat of it now. Let's talk about predators, because again, the center looks at the crime of elder financial abuse through the eyes of the predator. So any predator, their main goal is to gain control. What we do is we measure control on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. So if a financial predator can gain a control level of 8, 9, or 10, they can wipe out your entire life savings. So going back to April Parks, being able to take victims out of their homes, that's a high degree of control. So how does a predator gain control? Well, it's simple: avoid detection. And that's what any predator will do, whether it's in a financial predator or even a homicidal predator or a sexual predator. So if you put these two ideas together, the result is a predator that avoids detection is in control of his prey. And I'm going to show that again and again on these cases. And this is exactly what I mean by going beyond the red flags. The red flags are helpful, but understanding how a predator really operates is paramount, in my opinion. So where did I get this whole idea of control? I'll tell you that I got it from the late Mickey Rooney and his testimony before the Senate Aging Committee back in 2011. This is exactly what he said. He said, you can be in control of your life 1 minute, and in the next minute, you have absolutely no control. Sometimes this happens quickly, and other times it happens very gradual. So going back to the April Parks video, and I said, you're going to hear this can happen in the blink of an eye. That goes back to the time element, and that's exactly what Mickey Rooney's talking about here. Sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes it's gradual, but you can be in control of your life 1 minute, and next minute you have no control. That's exactly right. He was a victim of elder financial abuse. Hats off to Mickey Rooney. He was age 90 when he testified, and that took a lot of courage for him to testify. So after I saw that quote, and it stuck with me, I started thinking about it, and the next picture I'm going to show you came to mind. Of course, that's Lee Harvey Oswald and Jack Ruby, and you probably didn't expect to see this picture in a elder financial abuse presentation. But like I said, we look at elder financial abuse and we look at other predator crimes to include homicidal. So in this picture, you see Jack Ruby just before he shoots Lee Harvey Oswald. What I'll say to this is, you see the two police officers. Well, who thinks they're in control right now? Well, the two police officers think they're in control, but who's really in control? Well, Jack Ruby is. And why is he in control? That's the important question. The reason he is in control is because he's gone undetected. If one of these police officers had glanced over his way a couple of steps before this shot was taken, he would have been detected, he wouldn't have control, and he wouldn't be able to perpetrate his crime. But this is it. A predator that avoids detection is in control of his prey. All right, so that's the theory behind the center. So now let's take a look at a couple of more cases. The next two I'm going to show you are Ponzi schemes. And in my opinion, this is the most effective attack vector predators use in order to conduct elder financial abuse. First one's William Neal Doc Gallagher, who was a Christian talk show host who hid in plain sight. And then the second one is the Bernie Madoff of elder financial abuse. So let's take a look. So here's an article from Washington Post. A Christian talk show host promised to enrich clients as Ponzi scheme built them out of millions. If you take a look at the date here, this is only from November 2021, and this is the predator, older gentleman. Let's take a further look. So here's the actual press release from Tarrant County, Texas. Again, you see the date here, November 1st, 2021. And then the headline, Doc Gallagher sentenced to 3 life terms for a Ponzi scheme. Remember that. He was sentenced to 3 life terms. Now, let me take you down to paragraph number 5, where it says, he amassed $32 million in losses to all his clients and exploited many elderly individuals. He worked his way around churches, preying on people who believed he was a Christian. And then the very next sentence, it says, Gallagher, 80 years old. Well, let's talk about some of these points. First of all, he's 80 years old. He was in his 70s when he was conducting this crime. I call that an elder on elder predator attack, because that's exactly what it is. I don't know how many people have ever seen somebody in their 70s conduct elder financial abuse. Also, he was able to steal $32 million. That's an incredible amount of money for a predator. He's a very successful predator up until the time that he got caught. And then finally, I'm keep reiterating this point. He was on Christian talk show on radio in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He was hiding in plain sight and still remained undetected. That's why I take the approach that I do with elder financial abuse. The video I'm about to show you now is his actual promotional video. And this will show you exactly how a predator thinks and operates. And you'll hear in this video that he graduated with a PhD from Brown University. Very intelligent individual. And that's what it takes in order to be as successful as a predator as he was. So let's take a look.
Dr. Neil Gallagher is a premier true American with integrity in all his pursuits. His key goal is to help others take responsibility for their financial future. His life's passion is to help people retire safe, early, and happy. Steeped in history, Dr. Neil Gallagher earned his PhD from Brown University. He received his financial license and began working as a broker with firms in New York and St. Louis. Shortly after this period, Dr. Gallagher determined that the financial world of selling stocks and bonds, mutual funds, CDs, and more was not effectively educating the public. As he puts it, I dumped big broker and developed my own company dedicated to educating, empowering, and encouraging people whom are now his clients.
I strongly believe that as a society, we some time ago crossed a threshold in which a great number of individuals today give up on themselves too easily. We've raised a generation who not only looks to others to rescue them in virtually every matter concerning their lives, but one that also demands that others, whether parents, friends, employees, or the government, immediately solve their problems to their liking. Freedom requires education and empowerment, and I educate and empower clients. Less government, more personal responsibility, and with the help of God, a better world.
Dr. Gallagher developed his skills and acumen as a writer, publisher, speaker as a financial journalist, and as a former university professor. Now, with over 30 years of his visionary style, Dr. Gallagher has guided over 1,000 individuals in the development of their financial future with his company, the Gallagher Financial Group. He has been published in New American Magazine, Journal of Value Inquiry, Bottom Line Financial, Philosophy and Phenomenological Research, Charisma, Christian Life, and World Vision, along with numerous business articles by Dr. Gallagher. He was a Peace Corps medic and teacher. He has authored over 70 professional and popular articles, with 4 current books under his belt: The Money Doctor's Guide, Hunter, The 4 Secrets of Protecting Your Safe Money, Burning Passionate Prayers for Men on Fire, and Jesus Christ Money Master, in which all of his books offer a powerful array of financial understanding and influence. Dr. Gallagher is a...
So that's it. That's a predator. That's how they do it. So it took him, he didn't make that video in just a couple of hours, right? He took a lot of effort in order to put that together. And it's a very convincing video. But at the end of the day, he's a convicted predator. So I also add this headline from the Dallas Morning News, and it says, what it's like to turn on your TV and learn that you lost your life savings to an alleged swindler. That's very tough, but that's real. And that headline's absolutely right. So let's go all the way back to what I said about the April Parks video. It can happen in a blink of an eye. This crime can hit quickly. You may not realize that it's been hit. So that's why we provide classes on prevention before the crime actually occurs. So I wish I could tell you that this news gets better, but it doesn't. The next case I'm going to show you is Scott Cohen. In my mind, the Bernie Madoff of elder financial abuse. Before I show Scott Cohen, let's go back to Doc Gallagher. I showed you that he was sentenced to 3 life terms for stealing $32 million. Remember that as we take a look at Scott Cohen. So here he is, Scott Cohen, the Bernie Madoff of elder financial abuse, both the before and after. If you take a look at his picture on the left-hand side and the clip right below it says Scott Cohen, 68 years old. Well, here we go again. We got another elder on elder financial attack. So here's the press release on Scott Cohen. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at the main headline here. California man receives a 10-year sentence following a guilty plea in South Carolina of fraud conspiracy. Right below it, it says he masterminded a $300 million Ponzi scheme targeting both retirees and military pension holders. So again, going back to Doc Gallagher, let's compare and contrast these two predators, right? They're both elder on elder financial attacks. They're both Ponzi schemes, but one predator stole $32 million and received 3 life terms. This predator stole $300 million, but only received a 10-year sentence. Further, I'll point you to the date of this. This is August 18th, 2022. This isn't even a year old. And what I typically ask audiences, how has anybody ever heard of a Scott Cohen and $300 million Ponzi scheme? I don't know if it too many other financial crimes last year that topped 300 million. That's why I'm so concerned about elder financial abuse, especially these Ponzi schemes. Finally, on this press release, let me take you down to the last 2 sentences at the bottom of the page. It says Cohen and his co-conspirators caused more than 310 million in losses to more than 2,500 retirees and placed more than 13,000 veterans in exploitative loans. So I explained in my background, I'm a veteran myself, and this will be the last time any predator in the United States can target 13,000 veterans. But this is a horrible crime, and this is why I tell audiences I consider Scott Cohen to be the absolute Bernie Madoff of elder financial abuse. So is there another predator out there that's stealing $300 million or even 200 million or even 100 million? If so, we have to detect these predators before they reach to the levels that Scott Cohen did. But again, there he is, the Bernie Madoff of elder financial abuse. Last case I want to show you is Jonathan Robbins, and he's a Maryland-based attorney and certified public accountant. So why I'm showing you this is a trusted professional who was able to commit elder financial abuse. So here's the headlines from this case, but it says it all right there. Attorney swindled an 88-year-old woman out of $1.8 million. She's actually 88 years old and a widow. So as far as target selection for the financial predator, he did a very good job with his target selection. And here he is hiding in plain sight. That's his picture from his website, the accounting offices of John D. Robbins. So again, hiding in plain sight, and he successfully stole $1.8 million. So going back to what I explained at the very beginning, a predator that avoids detection is in control of his prey. He avoided detection. He was able to gain control on a control level on a scale of 1 to 10, at either an 8, 9, or 10. That allowed him to steal $1.8 million from Helen Nutt. But this is it. This is what elder financial abuse looks like. And then also I'll point that he was sentenced to 12 years. That's 2 more years than Scott Cohen. So he stole $1.8 million, got more time than an individual who stole $300 million. That's what elder financial abuse looks like in the United States today. All right, so I've showed you these cases. This is what elder financial abuse really looks like in the US today. So what can we do in order to protect ourselves? This is what I'll say. Elders and family members should conduct an assessment on the vulnerability of the elder. What I'm saying here is that the elder should find a trusted and responsible family member that they can team up with to conduct an assessment, because that's exactly what the predators do. That's exactly what Jonathan Robbins did. He was able to target an 88-year-old widow who had over $1 million. So the family member and elder needs to have an honest conversation in this assessment. If the elderly person's in maybe their mid-60s, still married, active in the community, active playing golf, they may be at a low risk. But now take that same individual 15 years later, now they've reached their 80s, maybe they're the surviving spouse, maybe the family member doesn't live close by. Now they can easily be isolated. So conduct that assessment. I think that's probably one of the most important things that you can do. And then learn early detection of the predator. What are the warning signs of these possible attack vectors? Right, I've showed you a couple of attack vectors already. I've showed you Ponzi schemes. I also showed you guardianship and also trusted professionals. But there's also other attack vectors out there, such as handyman schemes, where these individuals will come to you and ask if you'd like your yard work done. Also, the online scams, the romance schemes, the sweepstakes schemes, and also the tech support schemes. Learn of these possible attack vectors. Take it upon yourself to educate yourself on this. We offer additional training, but this is an introductory training just to whet your appetite as to what elder financial abuse really looks like. Finally, this third one, I think this one's probably as important as the other two. Extract the elder from a predator if the attack has occurred and the predator has gained control. So what if we have a victim has a $500,000 and a predator is already attacked and has successfully stolen $100,000, and there's still $400,000 on the table, but that trusted and responsible family member detects the crime going on, removes the elder from the situation, the predator no longer has control, and you've saved that elderly person $400,000. That's a huge win. So extract the elder from the predator if the attack has occurred. All right, so what can you do if you do spot elder financial abuse? First thing I recommend, report the allegation to local law enforcement. Also, if it's an internet-based crime, report it to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, and you see the website there. Also, report your allegation to a trusted and responsible family member, and then finally consider measures to reduce predators' control of the victim. So let me tell you a little bit about our website. We have education on our website, and that's our URL. Please share this with friends, family, anybody that you would like. It's a free website. This website is designed to educate our nation's 56 million elders. endefa.org. And this is what the website looks like. So this is the front page of the website. You can immediately see that as soon as you go on to it, you'll see the stories of Doc Gallagher as well as Scott Cohen. And you'll see the video on here. I had the video that I showed you just now. So please take a look at this. Please share this. This is meant to be a resource. Also, go to the very top toolbar here where you see resources. I have 18 other cases of convicted predators that you can learn from. So at your leisure, you can spend 10, 20 minutes in a period of time to self-educate yourself. But this is what the center is designed to do. And we're currently serving our nation's 56 million elders with this website. We're very proud of that. Also, what I'll show you on the website is that World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is also on there. The World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is actually tomorrow. And I don't know how many people have ever heard of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Again, I don't think very many people have, but we have that on our website. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is tomorrow. I'm glad that we're holding this webinar today. So please take a look at the website and find this, and you can click on the UN resolution that explains it. And yeah, even further, for background, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day was recognized by the United Nations General Assembly resolution in December 19th, reviewed the resolution point 21 on page 3. That's the actual point that creates World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Okay, so that's my presentation. Let me end up with one last thought from the late Mickey Rooney. This is also what he said in his testimony. He said, "I'm asking you to stop this elderly abuse. I mean, stop it now, not tomorrow, not next month, but now." The center understands exactly what Mickey Rooney said, and that's why we set up this center, and we thank Mickey Rooney. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, that's it. Love to answer any questions I can.
All righty. Anybody have questions? Feel free to unmute and ask any questions. Anybody? Jane, go ahead.
Yeah, you talked about red flags. What are the red flags?
Yeah, let me go back to that slide. Let me go back to share.
Mhm.
And give me a. All right, so here they are right here. And again, this is a comprehensive list of the red flags. It's a very good explanation of red flags. But that's a list of them. And that's what you'll see in a lot of different literature that I've looked at in the past. Also, let me touch on this a little bit further. I'll tell you a couple of other suggestions on how to harden how to harden the target. The computer tech support crimes sometimes initiates when you call one individual called a telephone number after he saw this charge on his credit card statement. And he thought he was calling one of the top computer security firms. In fact, it wasn't. So this individual said, "Hey, listen, I'm glad you called. Before we go any further, we need to ID yourself. So please put your driver's license up to the camera so that we can see it." Now that's my business card. But as soon as this victim did that, now this predator had all the identifying information of that victim, and the attack's already over. So that's one way to harden a target. Never show anybody your identification on a camera.
And also, John, on your credit card statement or bank statement, if you want to dispute a charge, sometimes there's a phone number. Is that legitimate to call the number that's on your bank statement?
I would say even do a Google search on that telephone number,
Yeah.
because that's what happened to this one individual.
Yeah.
And it was the predators that did a very good job on hiding themselves. It looked very close to a reputable company.
Yeah. Terry, you have a question. You're muted. Terry, you're muted.
With that couple that was kidnapped from their house. You said they were given 3 choices. If they chose to call the police, would that have been a better choice, or what choice did they actually make?
Well, the technique that oh, I got a neck. Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I think maybe you need to mute yourself, Terry. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Fantastic. So great question. What should they have done? What the predators was using was shock and fear, right? They immediately knocking on the door, they're waving a court order from out of nowhere and said, "Listen, here are your choices, but if you come with us, we can work it out, but you need to come now. If you don't come with us, you're going to be arrested." So it was all a fear tactic, and that's what they chose to do. But yes, they should have absolutely called the police right then and there. Nobody should be showing up at your door saying that they've got a court order and that you have to go with them now.
Jane, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say that just yesterday I got a telephone call from somebody, guy named Rizzo or something, and says, "I'm calling about your request to have something done in your house." And I said, "Who made the request?" I went through a whole series of questions, and he says, "Well, somebody spoke to us." And I said, "Well, nobody that I know spoke to you." He says, "Are you sure?" I was ready to punch him in the face if I could have through the phone. But this is exactly, that they so doubt, we're older, maybe you forgot, all kinds of stuff that victimize you. And even I've been getting online this thing about increasing your iCloud storage, and it comes every single day, and it looks very much like the correct website. So it's very, very difficult to fathom. I just throw everything into junk. And if somebody needs to get in touch with me, they can do it in writing from a certified agency.
Hey, thank you very much for sharing that with us, Jane. So let me share with everybody another strategy to harden the target, right? These cell phones, these are a great attack vector for the predators. So what I've shared with audiences in the past is consider getting another telephone number. And that telephone number is now your trusted telephone number that you share only with your trusted circle of family and immediate friends. That will eliminate some of these calls. But yeah, thank you, Jane. That's one of the attack vectors that we'll see, and it's tough. And also, let's talk about the romance schemes and emotions. Romance schemes are very effective because they touch. These predators will detect individuals that have expressed that they're lonely on social media, that they're alone on social media, and then they'll strike up the conversation, which will move quickly. And that's one of the key factors for these predators. They'll advance the relationship quicker than what the individual's comfortable with. So watch for that. The other thing is that these romances will be done online, through emails, through text, through telephones, but they're not done on videos. So if you do form a relationship with an individual, what I would suggest is at least do a video call with that individual to at least see this. I've heard in past experiences that they've asked to go video, and as soon as they asked to go video, the relationship stops. So another strategy to harden the target.
John, I know someone that is going through that, and you can't get through to her. She was one of my former volunteers, and I think she's in her 70s, and she met someone online, or who she thinks is someone, and she's never really seen him or spoken to him other than texting. She's gotten pictures. She had him looked up, but he's obviously using someone else's, profile. And he's telling her he's in the military, he's overseas, he's trying to come here and back and forth. And this has been going on for over a year. We're not sure, her friends are not sure if she's given any money. We don't think she has, but she's just enamored with this person who she thinks, and we've all tried. And she really believes that he's a legitimate person, and it's been over a year. And how do you get someone to listen and,
the best way I would recommend is take a look on our website or find other stories of romance schemes, and you can find them on YouTube. These news reports, just like I showed you, and just try to get through that way. It's tough. It really is tough because, right? I mean, that emotion of a love or even a connection with another person, that's a very strong emotion, right? And that's exactly what these predators tap onto, or different emotions, whether it's love through a romance scheme or fear through a grandparent scheme, to where your grandson's been in a car wreck. He's hit a woman who's 7 months pregnant. We're trying to keep him out of jail, but we need attorney fees. Send this money tomorrow to this address. It's very tough, but tapping onto emotions is key for these predators.
Yeah. Do any of the victims get the money, get any of the money back?
So what I'll say is a general rule is about 10%.
Wow.
It's very low. It's very low. And so that's why prevention is so critical here. And and I'll also say this, a little bit of training goes a long ways, right? I mean, this is just an introductory course, an hour-long course, But will this training be enough to protect one of the individuals listening today from losing $50,000 or more? You know, but training's key, because if these predators are able to gain control of you and take your life savings, there's little opportunity to regain that money. Don't say that doesn't happen, but don't count on it.
I mean, it can happen to anybody, really, right?
Yeah, it can, and that's why I point out before the April Park video, it can happen in a blink of an eye. That's probably one of the most truthful statements I've found in my research.
Yeah. Karen, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. This was really very informative. I want to thank you. I also, something that's troubled me is the number of places that I'm asked now, or the number of times I'm asked to share my Social Security number. And this is everything from, you know, opening a store credit card because they're offering a special, not even a major credit card, just, you know, of course, I would never give it out on the phone. But I'm just wondering, sometimes you can say no, other times they say it's required. How dangerous is that?
Very, very, very dangerous. Do not give out that Social Security number. Just move on.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And thank you very much for bringing that up. That's a great question. And again, it goes back to what I said about if somebody says, hey, we need to identify you, put up your driver's license card, right? That's identifying information. That's all these predators need. So protect this identifying information as much as you can. You absolutely have to. I know that some stores will even ask for your telephone numbers now to make purchases. You know, just be cognizant of it is what I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Any other questions from anybody else?
Hey,
And the other thing I just want, John, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was mentioned, but the email addresses, can you talk about the phony email addresses a little? Like what to look for in the email address?
Yeah, so these email addresses, some of these email addresses, they'll be very close to a legitimate company, and you got to analyze them very closely. So be careful of the emails, and of course, links within emails or even text messages. These text messages have increased as well, but please click on this link now. Your Netflix account has been suspended. Please click on this link now. Please, please, please do not click on those links, because that's the entry for these predators.
I even got something at the university at work, and it looked totally legitimate. It had one of our logos on it, but it wasn't really something that I would normally get. And I looked at the email address and I wasn't sure, but then I looked up the names in the email. It was a legitimate company, but something didn't sit right. I sent it to our IT department, our phishing IT department, and they said it was a scam. But it could have easily, you know, at work, it had our logo, not the OLLI logo, it had one of the university logos in it. It looked very legitimate. And I sent it, I said, I just want to be sure. And they sent it back and said, you can delete that. It was a phishing scam.
Wow.
It was just this week.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah.
So that's a great example of that's how good these predators are. But what was very important is your reaction. You trusted your gut feeling. You looked at it and something just didn't feel right. So what you seem to have done is you slowed down. You took a little bit more time, you researched it a little bit more, and your gut feeling was still telling you something's not quite right. So that's what I'll say to all of these attacks, whether it's these emails or even romance schemes where they tried to rush you forward, or these grandparent schemes. Hey, you need to send the money now. Slow the situation down. because that's one of the predators' main tools, is being able to speed up. Because if they can speed you up, then you're not going to be thinking as clearly, and they can easily get you confused.
Yeah, and the email address wasn't right. It had Stony Brook in it, but when I looked at it, it's not a typical. And I said, this just doesn't make sense. So I'd rather have it hold for a day. If it was legit, then it's a day late to me. But I'm glad I did, because I could have jeopardized everything. You know.
Yeah.
Jane has a question. Jane.
Yeah, yes, I've gotten, sometimes they hijack, somebody that you know, they hijack their phone, their contact list. And they send, it's a familiar name, somebody you know, this is Mary Smith, I'm sending you these photos. And then there's this huge URL, and of course you say, well, I know Mary Smith, you know, it's okay, but it's not okay. They just hijack these things, and I just throw everything into junk.
You're exactly right. That's thank you for sharing that example. That's exactly right. So it goes all the way back to what I said. Yeah, that very simple statement of predator that avoids detection is in control of his prey. I mean, that's exactly it. If they can avoid detection, if they can hide, in this case, behind somebody's name that's familiar to you, sometimes that's the way they avoid detection. But that's a great example. But right, it sounds like when you responded to that, you're like, yeah, something's not quite right here. I don't think this is actually my friend. So yeah, thank you for that example.
Anyone else? Is that all the questions I think we have? Yeah.
And these are all great questions. These are very, very insightful questions.
This was great. This is really informative. Really, I know you focus on elder financial abuse, but it's really good for anybody. It really is. It's happening every day.
It is. It really is. So what I would share is, take a look at the website, but get a trusted, responsible family member to sit down with you. Take a look at these examples with that trusted and responsible family member, and work together as a team. Educate yourselves as a team, and continue paying attention to the national trends.
Good. Thank you, John. Really wonderful. Thank you. We appreciate it. Good information. And I will share the recording with the rest of our members so that they too can take part in what they might have missed here.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for having the center. It was great to be part of this program today.
Great. And thank you all for joining. Take care, John.
Thank you.